Hey, hi, hello, my name is dis.cat. This is Project Hardcover, where we're letting books be the escape. Hello, lovely. Today I have for you my February wrap-up. As I mentioned in my February TBR, I wanted February to be a rereads month. I really wanted to reread first books from series that I wanted to continue the series, and then there were just some books that I really wanted to reread because it had been a while since I read them, so that's what I decided I was going to do in February. So with that being said, let's get started. The first book that I reread in February was Generation Dead by Daniel Waters. So Generation Dead follows Phoebe, and Phoebe lives in a world where dead teenagers can come back to life as zombies. But unfortunately, not everyone in Phoebe's world is as accepting of these zombies as others, and it causes all of these really bad problems. Things like discrimination and bullying and hazing and just all kinds of really bad stuff. So the story follows Phoebe and her friends trying to decide what side of this debate, I guess, they want to fall on. Are they okay with zombies being in school and playing on football teams? Or is it an abomination? Guys, I know it sounds like such a corny story. I mean, it's about a really typical goth girl, and there are zombies coming back to life, and of course she develops this crush and this cutesy little relationship with one of the zombies, and it just sounds so bad, but it's not. This book is really, really good. It takes this really big and really bad issue of discrimination and really makes it more accessible to everyone. Because let's say you're white, then necessarily you don't really understand, racism. Or say you're straight, you really don't understand what it's like to be ostracized because you have a different sexuality. So taking something like that and turning it into this thing that everyone can digest, because none of us know what it's like to be zombies, was a really, really cool idea. And the story really does have a lot of hidden depth to it. And the characters, yes, they can be a little cliche with their stereotypes and everything, but it's still a really good story. And I really did enjoy it this second time around, and I'm really excited to continue on with this series. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. Again, guys, I know it sounds really, really bad and really cheesy and corny, but it's not. Definitely give this a shot. It's really, really good. The second book that I reread in February was Wicked Lovely by Melissa Marr. So Wicked Lovely is about a girl named Ashlyn, and Ashlyn has been able to see fairies her entire life. But fairies aren't the cutesy things that we seem to think that they are. They're actually really violent and kind of unpredictable and feral and scary. And she's been told her entire life to never, ever, ever, absolutely never let them know that she can see them, because then she would kind of be targeted and it would be really, really bad. But unfortunately for Ashlyn, all out of nowhere, these two really powerful fae start following her around, and she doesn't really know why. And of course, this just completely throws her life into a tailspin, and she gets caught up in these fairy politics, and it's super crazy and super scary, and it's just super fabulous. That's right, I love, love, love the series. This is my favorite fae series, and I love this so much. Ashlyn is just such a really sensible and down-to-earth character, which in books like this, fairy, vampire, werewolf, whatever, type paranormal thing is going on, when you have the typical young teenage girl who gets thrown into the paranormal universe, they don't typically make the best decisions, but Ashlyn, she just has such a great head on her shoulders, and it's just so nice and refreshing to see. And don't even get me started on Seth. Seth is like a gift to male characters in YA books. He is so fabulous. I love Seth. I'm pretty sure that Seth is like my favorite character out of all of these books. But that's not to cut any of the other characters short. All of the characters in these books are really great. They're really deep and complex, and the politics that are going on in this book are really kind of messed up. And the creepy, scary factor to these fairies really makes these books just so much better. You really never know what these fairies are gonna do. If they're gonna do these god-awfully horrible things or just these minor kind of jokestery things. You never really know, and it just adds a great edge to the story, and I love the series, and I cannot wait to keep reading these books. I don't know why I stopped reading them, but I'm just really excited that I can keep going with them because I really love this series. The next book that I reread in February is my favorite book of all time, and that is I Am the Messenger by Marcus Zusak. So this book is about Ed Kennedy, who strangely stops a bank robbery. And then shortly after he stops this bank robbery, he starts receiving these mysterious messages in the mail in the forms of playing cards with random names and addresses on them. So this book follows Ed Kennedy trying to figure out these messages, trying to figure out who's sending them to him, why they're being sent to him, what he's supposed to do about it, and just what he's supposed to do with his life in general. This book is so fantastic. I don't even have words to express how amazing it is. This book makes you think about your life in brand new ways that you never expected to. It makes you think about the people in your life and how you feel about them, and just, oh my god, and the writing is fantastic. Of course, because it's Marcus Zusak, and he is a genius with the written word, and just, oh, I love this book so much, so much. Please, I cannot express to you how much I want everyone in the world to read this book, especially if you have read The Book Thief. Just, guys, if you love The Book Thief and you read The Book Thief, read this. You need to. You just do it. Please, just. Anywho, so naturally, 5 out of 5 stars. This book is just, it's so important to me. It means so much to me, and I love it so much. And just, oh, I love this book. The next book that I reread in the month of February was Type by Holly Black. So this is about a girl named Kay who is totally just like a rolling stone. She totally just travels all over the country with her mom and her mom's band, and she doesn't go to school. She smokes cigarettes even though she's only like 14 or 15 or something, and her mom kind of just gives her freedom to do whatever she wants. But one night there's this really scary accident, and it causes her and her mom to go back to her hometown of New Jersey. And when she gets to Jersey, just all kinds of shenanigans unfold because fairies. This is another book that I read post-Twilight. Really, after I read Twilight, just anything that had anything to do with fairies or vampires or werewolves or anything like that, I was gonna read it. So, of course, I jumped all over this, and I remember liking it, but I couldn't really hold on to what the story was doing, and rereading it, I kinda understand why now. It's not that the story isn't good, it's not that the book isn't good. It is, and it's intriguing, and it's mystifying in its own creepy, scary way, but it kinda is really disjointed. It's kinda just like A happens, then B happens, then C happens, and none of those letters actually intersect with each other at all. It's really weird. I mean, the story is still good. I still like the characters and everything, and the fairies are really creepy and evil in this book too, and that, again, just adds an extra edge. You never really know what they're gonna do. But it kind of needs some work with connecting the plot points instead of just, hey, this happened, then all of a sudden this happened, and then this happened. It's just, I don't know, it's really weird. I am going to continue on with this series because I just want to know if, you know, it gets better, if these things that happen eventually, like, meet up at some point. But yeah, I think I gave this like 3 out of 5 stars. Wasn't as good as I remember, but it was still okay. The next book that I read in February, I'm sure so many people are gonna be excited about. I reread City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. So I'm not gonna go into detail about what this is about because, frankly, guys, if you're on BookTube and you don't know what City of Bones or really any of the Mortal Instrument books are about, I don't know what you're doing with your life, really. So I've explained this story quite a few times. First time I read this book, I was on a trip with my friends, and I was really distracted, and I did get through the entire book, but I retained none of it. Because of that, it kind of put this idea in my head that it just wasn't a good story. I mean, to me, if a book is really, really good, it will just suck me in, and I will just not be able to focus on anything else that's going on around me. So if I wasn't able to focus on the book, it couldn't have been that good. So I kind of just, like, didn't want to mess with this series at all, but last year I read the entirety of the Infernal Devices trilogy, and I just really got sucked into this world, and I really just loved what was going on in those books, so I decided to give the Mortal Instruments a second chance, and I'm really glad I did. Rereading this book was just so much easier this time. Getting into the world was so much simpler. I kind of had a feel for what was going on. I think that reading the Infernal Devices really helped with that, and I was just able to retain what was going on so much better, and I actually really liked this. The characters are super fun, and they're snarky, and they have great personalities. The world is, of course, really, really awesome, and I am really intrigued with where these characters and where this story is gonna go. So I'm really, really happy that I gave this a second chance. I'm pretty sure I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. I'm really excited to continue on with City of Ashes. I hear the books just get better and better as you go. So I'm really excited to finally, read these books. I'm really, really excited. The next book that I reread in February was another book that I just felt it had been way too long since I had read it, and it is An Abundance of Catherines by John Green. So just in case you guys don't know what An Abundance of Catherines is about, it is about a boy named Colin who is a child prodigy, which is not to be mistaken for a child genius. So basically, prodigies are kids that can pick up information really, really quickly, and they learn things a lot faster than normal kids, but eventually they reach a peak point and they kind of just flatline out. Whereas geniuses, of course, come up with these brilliant new ideas, and they're constantly contributing things to the world, so geniuses are kinda higher up on the scale than prodigies. And this is the problem that Colin is facing. He's a prodigy, he's reached his peak, and he's stalling out, and he feels just completely unspectacular. Plus, when you add in the fact that he has just been dumped for the 19th time by a girl named Catherine, everything is just spiraling. So him and his best friend decide to go on a road trip to try and lift his spirits, and it's really just this really great story about trying to find yourself and finding worth and trying to get over heartbreak, and it's so fantastic. So I've mentioned this quite a few times, but this is my favorite John Green novel. It's just so awesome, and I think that part of that is because, not to toot my own horn, but I was in all advanced place classes when I was a kid. I was a gifted kid, if any of you guys know what that means, and it kind of puts pressure on you when you're young and you're in these advanced classes and in this environment where you're told that you're so much smarter than everybody else that you kind of have to continue being smarter than everybody else. But then you kind of get to high school-ish age and you realize that you're not really smarter than everybody else, and you reach this peak and you kind of just feel like you're losing your sense of self. And I kind of went through that when I was in high school, so I could totally understand what Colin was feeling. It feels like a big part of you, a part of you that has just defined you for so long, is gone, and you just feel so bad. It's just not a great feeling, so I totally connect with that. And it's just such an adorable story. The romance in here is adorable. Nice slow burn. It's not insta-love or any of that crap. The wit and humor in this is fantastic. I love Hassan and Colin's friendship. It is fantastic. Friendship goal overall. It's just amazing. And it's just, I love this book. I love this book. I wish this book would get more love. Everyone gives all the love in the world to The Fault in Our Stars and Looking for Alaska, but This book, guys, this book is like John Green's hidden gem, and I wish people would appreciate more. Of course, I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. It's still my favorite John Green novel. It's one of my favorite novels of all time, and I love it so, so much. And just, people, you need to appreciate this book more. Like, I get it. The Fault in Our Stars was fantastic. We know it needs to back up, because it's an abundance of Catherine's time. And then, because you guys know I love doing this, I diverged from my TBR, and I read quite a few books that were not on my TBR. Yeah, I totally went on a graphic novel binge. So with that being said, the next books that I read in February were volumes 2, 3, and 4 of Saga. So if you guys have been keeping up with my wrap-ups, you know that I read the first volume of Saga in January, and I loved it so freaking much. That's, of course, the second I could, I went out and got the rest of the volumes. I'm pretty sure that I said I would do it, and look, here I did it. I did it. And oh my god, people, these books are fantastic. I can't really get into the plot of what's going on in here without spoiling the ever-loving crap out of what's going on, but oh my god, these books are so fantastic. This story is so epic. These characters are so amazing. Artwork is beautiful. So, if you guys are age appropriate, and I don't really know what that is, there's like sex and brutal violence and blood and gore and bad language in these books, so that kind of stuff. So again, if you're age appropriate, you must go get these, because they are fan-freaking-tastic. I love them. I love them. The next graphic novel that I read in February was Rat Queens, Volume 1 by Curtis J. Wabe and Rock Upchurch. So this graphic novel follows this band of ladies, and they're all kind of mystical creatures, like elves and dwarves, and I think like a gnome-like creature. It's totally like that kind of fantasy world that they're living in, and oh my goodness, this is one of the best things that my eyeballs has ever laid eyes on, ever. The girls in this novel are so badass, and they're so fantastic and snarky and witty and just sassy. The sass in this is ridiculous. I mean, it's called sass in sorcery. Like, that's perfect. They are so sassy and they are so fantastic. This is so great. I can't even tell you. I am in love with these ladies. Just, they're so awesome. This also has some questionable bits. It has some not so great language, and it has some violent bits, so also, if age appropriate, go pick this up, because it's just so fantastic. I love them. I love them. Cannot wait until Volume 2 comes out in May. I love this. I love it. And the last graphic novel that I picked up in February was Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. So this book is a collection of 5 little short stories that take place in the woods, and everyone that I saw review this were like, oh, they're these 5 a little bit creepy short stories. No, these things are just flat out terrifying. There's no little creepy about it. These things are hella scary. Of course, dis.cat did not know that, so when do you think she decided to read this? At like 2 in the morning. Guess who did none of the sleeping that evening? Yeah, me. But despite the fact that these stories scared the ever-loving hell out of me, it was so good. Artwork is so beautiful and amazing, and the stories, yes, are creepy, but they're also just beautifully told and just so creepy, and it's just so great, and I'm so glad I picked this up. But be forewarned, it is creepy. Don't read this at night. Just don't. No, just don't read it at night. So that's it for the graphic novels that I read in February, and that's not the only switcheroo that I made in the TBR. So I know that I said in my TBR that I was going to read A Darker State of Magic by V.E. Schwab, but I didn't. No, I decided instead to reread another one of my all-time favorite books that I just felt it had been way too long since I had read it, The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. So this book is about a girl named Liesel who is living in World War II era Germany. She is taken away from her mother and given to foster parents, and it's really just about her life all during the Second World War, and it's so beautiful and sad and it's so fantastic. Marcus Zusak knows how to do things to me with so few words and so little effort. It's freaking terrifying. This book is one of the most painfully beautiful things I have ever read in my entire life. Pretty sure that this is my second favorite book of all time. Just Marcus Zusak just completely consumes me when it comes to books. Just his books are phenomenal. Just I cannot express in words how much I love him and I love these books, and just if you have not picked up a Marcus Zusak book, please do yourself a favor and just read all of them, because he is just so freaking amazing. I can't word about it accurately enough. Of course, 5 out of 5 stars. Fan-freaking-tastic. Just I love you, Marcus Zusak. I love you. And that's it. Those are all of the books that I read in February. Let me know down in the comments if you guys have read any of these books, and if you liked them, if you hated them, or let me know if you plan on reading any of these books. I would love to give you all of the encouragement. As always, thanks you guys for watching. I will see you next time, and remember, books are the escape.